Well, hello lovely planners and welcome. I hope you're doing well and that you're super excited about our first subject, the paperwork logistics of your wedding. A lot of people are confused when it comes to the paperwork logistics required to get legally married in Canada. These days, there is so many different ways to get married. However, depending on the type of marriage you're looking for and where you're located in our huge country, it will affect what you can do for your ceremony. So, whether you want to make this special day as low-key as possible or the most elaborate show of your life, here is what you really need to know before you start planning anything. In Canada, there are strict laws you must be aware of before you even start thinking about getting married. First, legal age. You need to make sure before you start planning anything that both of you are 18 years old or older. It's illegal to get married if you are a minor. You may be able to get married when you're 16 or 17. However, a judge must grant permission to your parents or legal guardian to proceed with the celebration. Second, your personal status. You must make sure that neither of you is already married. Polygamy and bigamy are illegal in Canada. You must be single, divorced, or a widower in order to get married. If you're already married and not yet divorced, you must fill out the proper paperwork with your ex-spouse. Then get your marriage certificate in order to get married with your new spouse. Just so you know, if you're planning to do a religious wedding, it is practically impossible to get a divorce through the church. You can get divorced, but you will usually have to remarry with a civil ceremony. Third, the spouse of your choosing. What you need to know is pretty straightforward. It is stated in the matrimonial laws that you have to be at least two persons to get married, which is pretty obvious. You can't get married alone, or to your dog, or to your chair. You have three possibilities. You must either be a woman and a man and a man, or a woman and a woman. Same-sex marriage has been legal here in Canada since 2005. So as long as you're marrying another human, you should be just fine. However, it cannot be an immediate family relative. So forget about marrying your brother or your sister. This includes your half-siblings by marriage or not, your parents, your grandparents, and your children. On the other hand, you can marry your cousin, your aunt, and your uncles. I guess in the olden days, it was pretty common to marry your cousins. Nowadays, it's frowned upon, but this is up to you. Finally, number 4, consent. Both parties must consent to get married to each other. In Canada, it is illegal to force someone to get married. There are two types of weddings, a religious wedding or a civil wedding. A civil wedding is a non-religious wedding performed by someone who is authorized by the justice system. It gives you more freedom on where you can get married location-wise. If you want to get married in the park, by the lake, or under the stars, with this type of wedding, it can be achieved. Of course, you may be able to do this as well with a religious wedding. However, your clergy celebrant will have to agree to perform the ceremony outside of his or her house of worship. You may experience difficulties finding someone to marry you. If you want to get married in a church, a synagogue, or a mosque, you must have a religious wedding. This is only a privilege granted to a religious ceremony. A civil marriage can be performed by a judge, a deputy clerk, a mayor, a notary, a professional celebrant, or a commissioner. Depending on the province, they must be picked from a list of registered agents. In certain provinces, you can appoint a friend or a family member who can apply to receive the authorization from the Justice Ministry to actually perform your wedding. It is a really popular way to celebrate your union and can be 100% personalized. You have the most freedom with this option. A religious wedding is performed by a priest, a rabbi, an imam, or any other religious entities that have the authority to perform the marriage. The price and obligation vary depending on the region and the community you decide to get married in. You may be required to take a couples class through the clergy. I really want to point out that the clergy celebrating your marriage must also be authorized by the Justice Ministry. Otherwise, your marriage will not be legal. You can get married overseas, but I would strongly suggest that you verify what must be done to make your marriage legal in the country of your choice. When you return to Canada, you will have to register your wedding through your provincial government. For our wedding, Stan and I picked our friend Natasha to be our celebrant. We did a really low-key celebration with a few close friends as witnesses. A few months afterwards, we did a symbolic ceremony with all of our friends and family in Jamaica. We did it this way to avoid all of the paperwork of an overseas wedding. In Canada, you will need one or all of these documents depending on your situation. Birth certificate, immigration form, permanent resident card, citizenship card, passport, driver's license. Okay, so now let's go province by province. In Quebec, you must fill up a notice of marriage and it must be published for at least 20 days before the wedding. You can apply through the Register of Civil Status. Usually, if you do business with a professional officiant or a religious officiant, they will help you through the process. If you decide to get married with a friend or a family member as your officiant, you will have to do it yourself. You can find the paperwork following the link in this video's description section. It's super easy. During the ceremony, you must have at least 2 witnesses. The officiant must send the declaration to the director of the l'état civil within 30 days of the marriage. You will afterward receive paperwork by mail and be able to order your marriage certificate. They don't send your marriage certificate automatically. You need to apply for it. The fees will vary depending on your location and who you will use to perform your ceremony. In Ontario, an authorized officiant will need to marry you. It can be a religious officiant or a judge, a justice of peace, or an authorized municipal clerk. You will need to get a marriage license and it will only be valid for 90 days. Or a banns form that you will get with the church where you publicly announce your commitment during a divine service. The fees will vary depending on your location and who you will use to perform the ceremony. Your marriage needs to be registered. Then you will get a marriage certificate by mail. Now, let's do Manitoba. A clergy or a marriage commissioner can perform the ceremony. A marriage commissioner is about $50. For a clergy, the fees are determined by the religious group in question. You can ask a friend to be your commissioner. You will need a marriage license, registration of marriage, which is $100, ordered at least 24 hours before the marriage. It's only valid for 3 months. The marriage registration must be sent to Vital Statistics. Vital Statistics does not automatically issue a marriage certificate. You will have to apply for your marriage certificate. In Saskatchewan, couples must purchase a Saskatchewan marriage license, only valid for 90 days, which costs $60. It can be purchased from a marriage license issuer. You can see the list on the website. A clergy or a marriage commissioner who are registered in Saskatchewan according to the Marriage Act from 1995 can perform your marriage. They will help you with the rest of the details. For Alberta, a marriage commissioner or a religious marriage officiant can perform the marriage in Alberta. A list is provided online. You will need a license and it needs to be filled out by both parties. It's about $40. There is a service fee also depending on the location. You must fill it out together to the registration office. Otherwise, it will not be legal. You also need to register your marriage within the 48 hours of the ceremony and file it with Alberta Vital Statistics. To get married in Alberta, you must have a marriage ceremony. The paper cannot just be signed. You must celebrate your wedding. Now, in British Columbia, 3 months prior to your wedding date, you will need to buy a marriage license. It will cost $100. A marriage commissioner or a clergy must perform the ceremony, and he or she must be registered with the Vital Statistic Agency. They provide a list to pick from. The couple, 2 witnesses, and the officiant marrying them must sign the marriage license. Registration of marriage after the ceremony must be done within 48 hours. You will receive a marriage certificate by mail once Vista Statistic has registered it. I couldn't find any prices, but I assume it will depend on your location and who you will choose to perform your ceremony. In Nova Scotia, you need to have a license as well. The price of this license is $132.79. Again, this license has a limited time. You must respect it. It will be given to you once you receive your license. Your religious representative, justice of peace, or judge will give you a memento certificate, which is not legal. After the marriage is registered, you can apply for an official marriage certificate, which is a legal proof of your marriage. In New Brunswick, a clergy or an officiant that is from the official authorized agent list will perform your marriage. You also need to apply for a license for a fee of $115. Your marriage license is valid for 3 months, and you will have to get married during that 3 months. You will also have to fill up your registration and send it to Vital Statistic. Once the registration is completed, you will have to order your marriage certificate. In Newfoundland Labrador, exceptionally in this province, both partners must be 19 years old. You'll have to get a license for a fee of $100. Your marriage license is only valid for 30 days. The ceremony must be performed by a clergy member or a marriage commissioner from the list they are providing you with. After the ceremony, you will have to register your marriage before the 4th day after your wedding. Once approved, you will be able to order your certificate. In Prince Edward Island, again, you must order a marriage license. It's also good for 3 months. The fees depend on your location. You are also required to get married with a clergy or a commissioner from the list they provide. You will have to register your wedding within 2 months of your celebration with the provincially owned property in PI. Afterwards, you will be able to apply for your wedding certificate. Wow, that was a lot of information. If you have any question or concern about this subject, please write in the comment below. I will try my best to reply to everything. If you're still really confused or really don't know what to do, please go to my website and book a one-on-one session with me. I'll help you figure it out what to do and answer all of your questions. If you found this video helpful, click the like button and share it with someone who might need this information. Don't forget to subscribe to make sure you never miss any of my videos. I post 1 to 2 times a week on different subjects to help you plan the perfect party. Planning your wedding or just another holiday gathering, you'll find useful subjects like in this video. Till next time, keep planning!